First story. My wife affair. It's been 4 years. Does the pain ever end? I desperately love my wife, but I cannot get over her affair, the nature of her affair, and the pain it has caused me. We've put in the work, but I'm still in so much pain. Unfortunately, the majority of the feedback I've received has echoed that you don't recover from this type of betrayal and pain. Backstory. 4 years ago, I discovered that my wife 50 was cheating on me 57. One evening, after she'd had a bit too much to drink and fallen asleep, her phone kept going off. Based on an earlier interaction, I thought it was her sister trying to contact her, so I thought I'd reply, letting her know her sister had fallen asleep and she'd call her in the morning. I was greeted with graphic pictures of my wife and a man, along with sexual comments. I learned she had an app that she used to communicate with this guy, and that she typically logged out of the app, which was hidden, to avoid receiving messages from him when at home. She had left the app open and logged in while she was drinking. To make a long story short, a few weeks later, I confronted my wife. She did not deny it. How could she? Told me things were over, that she'd ended it, and begged me for forgiveness. We agreed to work on our marriage and seek counseling, both joint and individual. I've done counseling sessions and read countless books on healing, building trust, etc. However, 4 years later, I'm still struggling. I can't get the images out of my head. I can't get the comments out of my head. I'm a mental mess. The nature of her affair was purely physical. She met this person on a popular affair website, and I'm confident they only met for sex. There are no emotional ties. I expected I'd be further along in my journey than I am. Sometimes, I feel like I'm back to the day I opened her phone. Most days, I wish I'd never touched her phone, as I feel like not knowing would have been better. I don't know why I'm posting other than getting this off my chest. The only people I've shared this information with have been our joint and my one therapists, as it's pretty humiliating. I promised her we'd work this out and stay together, but the pain doesn't go away, and I'm not sure I can live the rest of my life like this. When does the pain stop? Frequently my thoughts: how the sex life before cheating? I would say average to above average 2 times a week depending on our respective travel schedules. Without getting into too much detail, the sex seemed satisfying on both sides, e.g., depending on how much time we had or how tired we were, she would orgasm 1-3 times each time we were together. I was satisfied. What has she done to work on my healing? Couples and individual counseling. We've jointly read at least 10 books on the subject, taken 3 polygraph tests. This was her suggestion, now 4. According to the tests, she's answered every question I've asked honestly. She shared all her social media, phone, computer, and email passwords with me, gave me access to her cheating website account, changed cell phone to an iPhone, which makes hiding apps difficult. She also allows me to take her phone in for inspection, enabled location sharing on her phone with me, when traveling on business. She will FaceTime me if I have any concerns or I need reassurance, provided me with AP's information, e.g., name, phone number, address, etc. Open communication whenever I need it. She continues to express remorse. I'm sure there's more, but these are the highlights. Regarding my humiliating comment, for me, it is. I understand it shouldn't be, but it is for me. I'm working on this with my therapist. Outside of professionals that we've hired, no one else, that I'm aware of, knows about her infidelity. Regarding promising to work this out and stay together, promise is probably the wrong word. I committed to her that I'd try to work through this and stay together. I know this may sound foolish, but I love my wife. We waited until later in life to marry. We built a beautiful life together and a future. I wanted to try and get that back. I still want it back. Someone had asked about finances around separating. Since we married later in life, we both had accumulated individual assets, e.g., investments, real estate, retirement, etc., that we kept separate and legally protected. We do have joint assets that would be split 50-50. Since our earnings are similar, there would be no spousal support for either party involved. In other words, outside of splitting joint assets, the divorce would be pretty cut and dry. Oh boy, there are certain acts that I cannot get into, e.g., strangulation, humiliation, inflicting pain on my partner, etc. I just can't do it. BTW, she knew this when we got married. This was not something new that happened after we got married. I believe she's truly remorseful. Based on the messages I read that she sent AP, she regretted what she had done and was in the process of breaking it off. Also, all the work she's done to try and save our marriage. It's been hell on both of us. Had to look up OBS. No, I do not believe the OBS knows. I chose not to involve anyone, including OBS. Outside of our joint and individual counselors, no one knows. I have family and friends but have elected not to share this information with anyone. Fair question. I suppose I could say I was trying to shield ourselves from the word getting out. I didn't know what would happen, what kind of mud we would be dragged through should she find out. Self-preservation, I suppose. Selfish, I know. Do I regret this decision? Some days I do. A lot of assumptions here. I reviewed my backstory, now they make sense. Seeing a picture of my beautiful wife's face covered in another man's semen and his penis in her mouth tends to create a trigger for me. My therapist tells me I have PTSD. I refuse to call it that because this is a term usually associated with veterans and first responders. I prefer post-infidelity stress disorder. I've come a long way overcoming this trigger when she receives a message notification late night. In the beginning, yes, I would check them. Today, if I have a concern, I'll just ask who the message was from. I have access to her messages but do not go through them. Hardly LOL. She just returned from a girls' trip to Paris. Hardly jailer-approved activity for inmates. Did I have anxiety? Yes, one night I did. Did I FaceTime her briefly for reassurance? Yes, I did. The majority of what we have implemented were suggestions from therapists or from books we have read, and they are working. My biggest struggle is the pain I still experience. There are days I wish I never found out. Update. I shared a while back about getting over my wife's affair, and when the pain goes away, D-Day was over 4 years ago. The majority of the response I received from people who reconciled was, "It doesn't go away." Many of these replies were from people who were 10+ years into their reconciliation. We did the work, including individual and joint therapy, open devices, polygraphs, reading books, etc. We did the work to save our marriage, but the pain didn't go away. The images in my mind wouldn't go away. Then, several weeks ago, my wife came to me, letting me know that her AP was trying to reach her again, and showed me an email from him. She was honest and upfront. She had not communicated with him, but just her receiving the message set me back. Even though she had nothing to do with initiating the message, it was the straw that broke my back. I decided I could not go on living like this. The pain wasn't going away, and I couldn't live my life with these thoughts and worries. On July 6th, I moved out of our home. The following week, I filed for divorce. The divorce will be uncontested since we had a prenup pending the valuation of some joint assets. It will be quick and easy, no children, no spousal support. I also reached out to AP's wife and shared with her the information regarding the affair, and that her husband had recently reached out to my wife, wanting to rekindle their affair. In the beginning, I took the position not to involve his wife, I suppose, as a threat to keep him from contacting my wife, and I also knew the pain it caused me. Well, he effed that up for himself and his family. The wife wants to meet me for the proof as, under the advice of my attorney, I'm not sending any information regarding the affair electronically. We're meeting tomorrow after she gets off work. I'm torn as I'm about to do to this person what was done to me. Turn her life upside down, wreck it. It will never be the same. I'm also torn about what to show her in terms of proof. My biggest issue was the images. For me, they were devastating. I'm not sure if I'll share these with her or not. Advice: the last 30 days have not been easy. Friends and associates are asking what happened. They're in shock. We've both decided not to share the why other than saying we grew apart. It's so sad. A message to the cheaters out there: think about what you're doing and what you will do to your spouse, family, etc., and yourself. She regrets what she's done every day of her life. She destroyed us, our marriage, me, and herself. And for what? If you want it that bad, get out of your marriage, and don't put the person you love or once loved through this hell. Don't put yourself through this hell. She still texts me every day saying how sorry she is and that she loves me. Should have thought about that 4 years ago. The last 30 days have been difficult, very difficult. However, not once have I questioned my decision. I tried to reconcile, and she tried, but I finally decided I could not live the rest of my life like I was living. I deserve to have a clear mind. I deserve to be happy. Whatever that looks like, we'll see. Second story. I cheated on my wife and she said it sounded like assault? So as the title says, I, 45M, cheated on my wife, 48F, with a married man. When I explained it to her, she said it sounded more like I got assaulted than anything else. I had been going on a motorcycle ride with a family friend from my wife's side. I had just hung out with him the day prior for Independence Day. I had asked him that morning if any of our friends would be participating in the ride, and he said that they didn't want to go. I found out later that he had never contacted them. We went riding all day. We went swimming and traveled about 30 minutes out of town. We ended up hiking through the forest to see the sunset, per his request, and we ended up doing it in the forest. From what I remember from that interaction, I was frozen. I could talk but I didn't say no or stop. What I did say is, I'm so exciting, I'm scared and this has happened. I feel violated, but I also feel like I could have stopped him. I feel torn about why I didn't at least try to stop him. When it was all done, I was just out of it, only snapping back to reality when he slapped my knee and told me to tell him when I was ready to go. Afterwards, I still wanted to be friends with him. I didn't want the benefits, I just wanted to be friends and to hang out. Because I knew the repercussions of what happened would be catastrophic, I just wanted to be normal. I planned on taking what happened to my grave. Obviously that didn't happen and my wife found out. I feel violated, but I don't feel like it was assault. But that's the only thing that really brought me and my wife back together. And every time I try to deny it, she tells me that it's a trauma response, which wanting to just put it behind me and move on. Yeah, I get that. But I don't even know. I'm going to therapy to figure it out. On top of all of that, the guy says I came on to him. Which I get that he's just trying to cover his ass. But that affects me and my relationship with my in-laws. We had talked about our wives during the whole ride. We both married at 18, so we had that in common. But he wasn't happy in his marriage and I was. He was planning on leaving his wife, but she convinced him to stay with her, even though he cheated. She convinced him to stay? Okay then. And the cherry on top of all of that is I fell pregnant and had to figure that all out. And his best friend started harassing me over messages about it all, saying that I was the liar and a homewrecker because I came on to him. When, if anything, when my wife confronted me, I immediately came out and told the truth. Whereas he had to be confronted twice and lied multiple times to different people. I'm definitely the one twisting the story here. Definitely. Example, he told our friends and his wife that I came onto him and told my wife that it was mutual. He also denied that we even went on the ride at all, even though he literally posted pictures on his Facebook about it. Basically all this to say, I don't know what to do. I don't feel worthy of my wife's love, but I still love her. What happened wasn't supposed to happen, and I hate that it did. I don't know how to get back to normal, and if we can't, I don't know if I want to live with guilt forever. I would rather divorce and escape it all than have to see guilt face to face every day I wake up. So my questions are, does it sound like assault? What should I do to try and be normal again? Third story. Last night found out my girlfriend cheated, and she's pregnant too. Hey everyone, hope you're having a nice day. I came here to talk about my experience, ask maybe for some advice or hopelessly look for someone to listen. Honestly, just venting my soul out cause sleep has been pretty hard lately. But this is gonna be a long one, so brace yourself. So we'll start off from the beginning to give some context to why this title is pretty heavy. And if you like drama and a twisted story, this is the thread for you. We started dating around half a year ago, sort of officially, but met about a month prior in a social get-out with common friends. The same day we met, we clicked really well. Had incredible talks, spent the whole night after everyone left talking in the car on the beach. We even kissed. The feeling seemed mutual and everything was good. But she told me she wanted to be honest with me, and that she had another guy that she was with, sort of an F-buddy you could say. Said it was nothing serious and wasn't going anywhere, but she isn't looking for anything serious ATM, so that's why it happened. Me obviously not being happy about it very much, I accepted it and said that I shouldn't rush anything myself and just see where this goes. We kept meeting up occasionally for a month or so, talking a lot. Similar hobbies, we had sex and everything was great. She even told me she wasn't meeting up with the guy anymore. Fast forward another month. I find out from a mutual friend that they met again. Mind you, she never told me anything about it. And she said they met for her to break it off completely and tell him that it's just us. Red flag, but yet, I was kind of relieved by it, so I eventually got over the fact she didn't tell me. We kept dating for about half a year since that moment, and things started going kinda sideways from there. I felt occasional lies on small things and changes in stories she told me. Some things weren't always adding up. She always said she didn't want to tell her friends or family about us because of our age difference. I know this is gonna sound really bad, but she was about 3 months from being 18, and I just turned 24 recently when we started dating, although she was incredibly mature for her age. It was weird, but I really did love her, so I respected her decision at the time and went with it. The whole relationship just felt off. I loved her over my head and was infatuated with everything she does. I invested everything I could in any amount of spare time I had to be with her. I'm in the military, so I don't have that much of it. Fast forward to about a week ago, she tells me she's pregnant and I'm in total shock. She can't be. She was taking pills for 3 years to not get pregnant and she was strict with taking them. She was terrified of having children from past trauma in the family, at least ATM, and I could barely get anyone pregnant. Used to smoke tons and drink, plus started working out hardcore, so I did regular checkups. They are pretty chill and mellow on my end. She came with the results that said she was at week 7 with an 11mm fetus, and I was petrified. Obviously I took full responsibility and told her that whatever choice she makes, I'll support her and be there for her. She obviously decided to not keep the baby because of the age difference, the fact that she was terrified of it. So I took her to take blood samples in preparation for an abortion. Mind you, her family already met me and knows we're dating 2 weeks prior. Lucky guy, yeah. Whilst taking her blood sample, she had her phone open and I peeked into WhatsApp messages and saw that she had archived chats, so I asked her what did she archive and she opened it. She skipped the chat with the guy and showed me everything else, so obviously I asked her what was that chat that she skipped, and she aggressively responded with, "I can't show you that." I had a fight with a friend, and he got into a very traumatic subject for me that you don't know about. That's a huge red flag. So I told her that I need to see that chat. Mind you, we've been dating for half a year, and she knows everything about me, and I thought I knew everything about her. After fighting for a whole day, after tears, and her telling me that I'm going to break up with her if I see that chat and begging me to not open it and give her a chance and trust her, I eventually do get her to give me her phone, and when I saw the chat I almost passed out. The same guy that she was with when we started dating, they never stopped talking the same day. They were watching a movie and doing whatever in bed, and the day after when she met me, and did whatever with me in bed. I saw everything, the most horrible messages you can imagine. Every picture she sent me, she sent him. They were talking like they were dating for years. She was lying to me the whole time. They were meeting up and having sex regularly the whole time when we were together. I have no idea how I have been so blind. I didn't even know if the baby was his or mine. I obviously blew up and went ballistic. I took her phone and sent him a selfie with her and the picture of the ultrasound of the baby, telling him, I hope you know what she did and I don't know if it's yours or mine, but good luck with this. Ticking time bomb. It's been less than 24 hours. I can't sleep. I'm deployed in the middle of nowhere, supposed to come back home on the weekend. We obviously broke up after hours of fighting. But I've had many relationships in my life, and I've never been multitasked with another man, the whole relationship every day. A bullet wound is honestly less painful. I hope you're having a good day. I know it's a long story, and if you stayed for so long, then I appreciate you. If you got cheated on, I hope you're doing well, and remember, once a cheater, always a cheater. And some stories are so unbelievably absurd, and some people are so unbelievably inhuman, that it's not your fault. Let them live with it. I knew life has difficult times. I got to reach deep and lift myself up. Use this experience to live a better life and move on. Recently I realized I don't love her. I love what I thought I had with her, and that was a lie. Now I got this. I was in love with an idea and a fantasy. Thought things could be different, guess felt special, and yet no one is. And people don't change. I consider myself incredibly lucky that that's not the case. I can find a bright side in everything, truly. And I dodged one hell of a bullet discovering it this early. Thought about staying in the military for a long while, just getting better hours and conditions. I think I can maybe still look for something, just be extra thoughtful and careful when it comes to my judgment of trust and loyalty. I now realized it after everything, but it seemed like being honest these days about something like this is rare and takes guts. Thought she said it because she wanted something true with no secrets, and at the time it meant a lot to me. But yeah, I chose to ignore the facts. Appreciate it. Unfortunately, she reached out to me about the abortion date. Things opened up a bit, and from what I understand, she got scared that I'd just kill him. Considering my build and professional hog, I'd never waste my time and energy on anything like that. She said she followed him around all day today, anxious and scared. So they are probably actively still going with dating and fucking, even though he was also cheated on. And he knows it. Doubt that's really a man with a lot of value to himself. Guessing he thinks he won, maybe, I don't know. Either way, it blew up a bit, but connection is now cut completely. I just decided to share mine even if no one reads it. Thank you.